Day, Scott Carter. Make Jason Shay your coach today. Hi, everybody. I'm Marky Bilson. And the big question surrounding the East Tennessee State men's basketball program right now, if ETSU can't have Steve Forbes as their head coach anymore, and he's off to Wake Forest, then who better to lead the Buccaneers than his top lieutenant? I mean, ETSU is peaking as a college basketball program. We could argue if maybe they were peaking a little bit more after the 1968 season or possibly after the 1991 season, or, we could argue that. But just set the record for victories in a season. Talented roster returning. I know 3 starters are departing, but Bo Hodges, looks like Patrick Good will be coming back. 5 promising recruits coming in from places like Kansas State, let alone top high schools in Washington, D.C. So doesn't it make sense that someone who has already coached them would keep that team together rather than suffer the transfers a new coach from outside the program would almost assuredly experience? So I ask ETSU, what in the world are you doing by conducting a national search for Steve Forbes' replacement and making Jason Shay squirm as the interim head coach? You'd do that if you were firing someone. You don't do that when things are peaking. When things are going pretty well, you don't want to fix it. You want to keep doing what's going on. You don't want to say, Monty, I think I'll take what's behind door number 3. No, it's a good prize right there that you have. Basketball program perhaps in its best status in 100 years. So, yeah, you don't want to jeopardize that. And that's what you're doing when you're saying, Jason, gee, I don't know. We want to see what else is out there. You're making someone who has been your employee and a successful one for several years now squirm. It makes him look like he's not ready. And also, when Steve Forbes gives Shay his full endorsement to succeed him at ETSU and says, well, if you don't, I certainly would like to have him at Wake Forest, then it makes the administration look like they are unappreciative of both Steve Forbes and Jason Shay's contributions to the ETSU basketball program. It also compromises Shay's ability to lead. Now, it's inevitable that the next ETSU coach is going to be met with those cynical, not as good as Steve Forbes was comments, but you know what? They'd be a whole lot less prevalent with Shay than someone coming in from outside the program leading the Buccaneers. And, the schedule was just about ready to be made. We heard a couple of weeks ago, Steve Forbes told Joe Avento at John City Press that, he was going to be scheduling 2 SEC teams. There'd be a home and home with a quality mid-major. Wouldn't the top lieutenant be the one that would get those deals signed instead of someone coming in from who knows where? Also, Jason Shay does have a little bit of experience as ETSU's head coach. He's got a 1-1 record unofficially. Back in 2018, December 1, 2018, actually, Steve Forbes was kicked out of a loss to Wofford. And so that meant that it was Shay that was the coach that led the Buccaneers in their next game. Now, they were playing a money game against Reinhardt, but yeah, a 107-60 victory. That was back on December 3rd, 2018. And also, when Steve Forbes' father passed away, it was Shay that was put in charge of the team back on March 20th, 2019 for the CIT tournament. And yes, ETSU lost. They lost 102-94. But remember, they didn't have Mladen Armas, Patrick Good, or Jerome Rodriguez. You could argue those were their 3 best players. None of them played, only lost by 8 points to the eventual CIT champion. That doesn't sound too bad now. I got to tell you, when I've interviewed Jason Shay, he's been straightforward and honest to me. Remember when Steve Forbes snapped at me because I asked if he played Mladen Armas with a concussion? It was Jason Shay who told me that Armas had suffered the concussion in the Southern Conference Tournament semifinal game. Yeah, That's where that came from. So, you know, Armas is given good information, and why not? Not only is he honest, but he used to work in the sports information department of Mercyhurst College, the Lakers up there, D2 school up in Erie, PA. How's that for a coach that understands the media's needs? So the bottom line is this. It's a season in which ETSU set a team record for victories. It's not time to shake things up. It's not time for tired cliches like, well, we want to pick the minds of what's out there. We'd like to see who's interested. Save that for when Shay is putting together his staff. Now, if Shay is not the new coach, it'll speak poorly of ETSU athletic administration. They're going to appear disloyal to one of the coaches who made them very successful. And if they aren't willing to compete with what Shay will be paid at Wake Forest by Forbes as an assistant coach, or if ETSU wants to use negotiating tactics like, well, this other coach will work for less money, then you know what ETSU looks like? They look cheap, and they look like they're not willing to continue their basketball success. So unless it's decided, I don't know, maybe B.J. Mackey would be somebody they could consider to be the head coach. I mean, I know he wasn't named the interim head coach, but Mackey did receive some interest from Wofford last year for their head coaching position. So I don't know if you thought that possibly Mackey would be a better coach than Shay for whatever reason or something. Maybe I could see something like that. But, you know, some unforeseen circumstance or something, unless that there just isn't anybody else to consider as the new ETSU head coach. So why wait? You know, given the interim tag to Jason Shay, that's what you do to David Mullins when you hire him as the athletic director. You don't do that to the person who is the most qualified person for the job. Folks, I'm Marky Bilson. Best ETSU analysis you're going to find anywhere. Hardest-hitting opinions, I think that's a given. And so I invite you to like my YouTube channel, hit the bell. We're going to be having, I think this is video number 1196 that I have on my YouTube channel. And included is an interview with Jason Shay after his victory in the Reinhardt game. So you can see how well he handles the media there. So check that out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And until next time.